Hey guys, welcome back to Geek Space. Today, I'm finally giving my full thoughts on the long-awaited Amazing Digital Circus Finale, Episode 9, titled Remember. But unlike my non-spoiler review that I posted a while ago, I can finally talk about everything in much more detail. I've had plenty of time to sit with it, sleep on it, and rewatch it countless times. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So, like usual, let's begin with a brief recap of the episode first. The episode opens with the classic episode 1 theme, but Kane is missing, and the sequence glitches before cutting into the main story. The cast immediately reacts to Kane's deletion. Jax takes it the worst and lashes out at Kinga, who then reveals that the characters are actually brain scans of the real humans, which causes everyone to break down in their own way. Then Pomni talks to Kinga, who teaches her how to conjure in order to help repair the circus. Meanwhile, Jax unexpectedly abstracts off screen. Ragatha and Pomni share a heartfelt moment, before Pomni decides to enter Jax's abstracted mind, moving through surreal doors, showing alternate outcomes for the cast before reaching the deeper memories tied to his past and the group's earlier days together. We see how his relationships deteriorated, leading to isolation and contributing to the events that caused his abstraction. Eventually, Pomni finds Jax, trapped in a dark mental space, where she tries to reach him despite his belief that he's beyond saving. The others then arrive and help stabilise the situation. At the same time, Kane returns after being cast out into the void. He reflects on his actions and comes back to the circus. He reveals the truth about the cast's human counterparts, before ultimately giving them control over the circus as the episode concludes. So with the maybe not so brief recap out of the way, let's get into the positives. First of all, this episode is visually incredible. And I know, I say it gets better every single time, but it just genuinely does. The abstract sequences, especially Jax's mind sequence, and the final void progression with Kane, are genuinely stunning. They're creative in a way that only this show managed to pull off. And they really pushed how far this style can be stretched visually. The character progression also absolutely delivers. Pomni finally feels like she's stepping into her role as the emotional core of the series. She becomes the one holding the cast together, constantly grounding them and trying to keep everyone from falling apart. Each of the characters also gets a solid amount of screen time and development, which makes it feel like now we understand them more than ever. We even learn their real-world names, and see what they've been getting up to outside of the circus. Although one character definitely gets a lot more focus than the rest, but we'll come back to that later. One of the biggest reveals in this entire episode is that the entire cast are actually just brain scans. This has been a popular fan theory for a long time, so finally seeing it confirmed is incredibly satisfying. It completely reframes how you look at the characters and everything they've been through up to this point. I've seen some people say that this reveal makes the whole journey with these characters feel pointless. I personally don't agree with this. If anything, it makes them even more tragic. Everything for them has been real, but in reality, it's not. But their struggles still matter. The emotion also absolutely hits. There are so many moments that genuinely got me. From the cute scenes with the characters that make you want to squeeze them, to the gut-wrenching moments that genuinely make you want to break down. It all just works. The whole scene where Pomni confronts Jax in his mind, and they hug, was incredible. Speaking of hugs, the moment between Pomni and Ragatha is also such a strong payoff to her character arc. She's constantly trying to get on Pomni's good side, so this moment just feels so earned. But the most emotional part for me was the Jax, Ribbit, and Cosmo flashbacks. Seeing them go from being close to Jax slowly pushing Ribbit away was handled really well. The part where Jax explains his human life to Ribbit is especially interesting. It doesn't excuse anything he's done, absolutely not, but it does explain the world he's built and why he pushes everyone away. And honestly, the show's handling of Jax being trans is done really well. Instead of being framed as a big dramatic reveal, it's just treated as part of who he is. It isn't the focus, it just is. And I think that that's the best way that they could have handled it. But Ribbit and Cosmo have definitely become two of my favourite characters in the show. They're just incredibly tragic. Speaking of the Jax mind scenes, the alternate realities were really cool to see. The moment where Jax strangles Pomni was genuinely terrifying, while the Looney Tunes style Zooble sequence was also really funny. It leaned into the absurdity that still somehow works in the context. This episode does a great job of balancing emotion and comedy. Neither one ever really undercuts the other, they both just coexist in a way that feels intentional rather than jarring. The scene where Kane returns was also fantastic. Him getting sent into the void actually makes sense in context. But what really stood out to me was the sequence where he learns the pattern in order to reach the brain scans. It's a really interesting representation of an AI learning. At first he struggles, but over time he starts to recognise the structure until eventually it becomes instinctive. Speaking of Cain, the scene where he talks to the moon is really strong. When she tells him she loves him, and he realises he never actually programmed that response, it lands surprisingly well. It shows Cain that love isn't something you can create or manufacture, it develops naturally. It's not code, it's just something that happens between people. And honestly, it's a really sweet message. But the most important part of the whole episode, the ending. Did they pull it off? Absolutely. By a mile and a half. Basically, Cain gives the characters control of the circus, so they can shape it into whatever they want. The final montage of everyone just living and getting along was really sweet, and seeing them finally interact peacefully with Cain was surprisingly emotional. But there's just one thing that I couldn't quite decide on. Whether or not they should have brought back the abstracted characters. On one hand, it would have given us a really powerful, emotional moment. Jax finally apologising to not only the main cast, but also making up with Kaufmo and Ribbit. We could even see Scratch properly return, or Kinger and Queenie finally reuniting. But on the other hand, I'm not sure if that would completely just kill the stakes. If abstraction can just be undone, it kind of raises the question of whether it ever really mattered in the first place. I mean, I don't know, I'm just genuinely torn on it. But even the credits are amazing. They feature an extended version of the song Digital Days, while showing little 2D versions of the characters going on fun, everyday adventures. It's a really nice, light-hearted way to wrap everything up. And then, there's the post-credit scene. It shows the human versions of the cast unknowingly standing at the same bus stop. They're all incredibly close, but none of them realise it. And honestly, that is what makes it hit so hard. It's such a simple idea, but it perfectly sums up everything the show's been building towards. But despite all of that, it's not perfect. So now, let's get into the negatives. My biggest issue in this entire episode, and honestly, probably the entire show, is Jax's abstraction happening completely off-screen. For such an important character, it feels way too abrupt. I understand what they were going for here. Abstraction is meant to be sudden and unpredictable. But in this case, it would have been so much more impactful if we actually saw it happen. Watching him reach that breaking point would have made the moment hit so much harder, especially after everything the show's built up with him. Another issue is Cain's return not really being questioned. It feels like a moment that should have had a lot more weight from the cast, but it kind of just happens and gets accepted immediately. Cain turns up and the cast just starts speaking to him like he's been sent to the timeout corner, instead of being literally deleted. The music choice was also very strange. The show's original tracks sound amazing, so switching to licensed songs just feels a bit off in comparison. During the montage of the cast repairing the circus, they use the song Too Much to Get Over, and during the Jax montage, they use the song Isn't She Lovely. Now, Isn't She Lovely works a little bit better thematically, but it still feels out of place in the context of the show. Overall, it just kind of feels weird hearing full lyrical songs suddenly play in scenes that were previously carried by an original soundtrack. It's quite jarring. And finally, there is a noticeable imbalance in character focus. Jax gets significantly more development and screen time compared to the rest of the cast. For everyone else except Jax, we know their names and what they've been up to. For Jax, we know his name, what he's been up to, and his entire backstory. It feels pretty clear that he's Gooseworks' favourite in terms of writing focus. It's a bit strange, especially considering that Pomni is supposed to be the main character. But hey, maybe Gooseworks just enjoys writing Jax. In conclusion, I absolutely loved the finale of the Amazing Digital Circus. As someone who's been here since the pilot, it felt incredibly satisfying and genuinely emotional to see it finally conclude. And while it's not perfect, no finale they ever could have made could please everyone, but this ending feels like exactly what the show has been building towards. The Amazing Digital Circus is, and will always be, my favourite indie show of all time. It's been a once-in-a-lifetime journey, and I've loved every minute of it. Alright guys, we've reached the end of today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. But now, I want to know what you think. Did you enjoy the finale? Have you enjoyed the show overall? Let me know down below. But anyway, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!